For a hockey account that focuses solely on line combinations, one thing I'm sure everyone has noticed over the last 15 to 20 years is the lack of nicknames for lines. We at best usually get some sort of name based on the player's initials that just doesn't capture the rich history of line nicknames that used to be so common, the ones that reflected the player's personalities or playing style or influenced by something in popular culture. Join me on a trip down line combo memory lane as we take a look and rank the greatest line combination names of all time. Remember, this isn't the greatest lines of all time. Yes, the trio's elite play can enhance their name and grow it nationally, which can in turn land them in a higher tier. But for this ranking, I'll try my best to keep it based on the moniker the fans, media, or teammates gave them. So now that you know the objective, let's go over some ground rules. The line should have played a fair amount of time together. I won't put an exact number on it, but a few shifts here and there isn't going to cut it. Also, how well known is the name? Did it ever catch on, or is it only known to a small sector of a local fan base? No line names that are just letters. Yes, we'll make some exceptions as you'll see. However, for example, one of the greatest lines of all time, the LCB line, is disqualified. Legendary combo? Absolutely. But this list is for their names, and not just jotting down the line's initials, which most of the time lacks creativity. Also, I know I'll get a ton of comments on the mid-90s Penguins line of Ron Francis, Jaromir Jagr, and Mario Lemieux. To be honest, I never truly researched how many games they played together, but I also have seen many nicknames given to the trio. The Great Line, the Power of the Pen Line, the Golden Triangle. Let's just give them an honorable mention since I don't know what they were really called anyway. And with that said, now let's get started. The Los Angeles Kings LAPD line. Jason Allison, Ziggy Palffy, and Adam Deadmarsh. If I'm going to be a hypocrite, I'd like to get it out of the way early. Yes, it includes the player's initials, which should disqualify them, but the L in the LAPD saves the day. Just a magical coincidence of the team playing in LA and the player's initials can make up the LAPD, which of course is the Los Angeles Police Department.
Johnson, this the LAPD. We the most hated cops in all the free world. My own mama ashamed of me. She tell everybody I'm a drug dealer.
A very fun line with a great nickname. The Boston Bruins Perfection Line. Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak. Three players I absolutely love, but a nickname I absolutely hate. Really, the Perfection Line? I really despise this name, but since nicknames are so rare in today's game, I felt obligated to include it, as it's arguably the most recognizable name of the last 5 to 7 years. Nothing against each player, and as a combo they were awesome, but unless you're winning some cups or at minimum scoring titles, I really don't know how perfection makes sense. I don't know, how about the 200-foot line, or two-way B line, since they're elite on the entire rink? I don't know, comment below what you think could have been a better one, but perfection isn't it, so to the bottom of the list they go. Deuces Wild Line. Simon Gagne, Peter Forsberg, and Mike Knuble. I like this one, a clever play on each player's numbers having a 2 in it. If you're curious about this combo, please check out a previous video for a long-form breakdown on the trio, where for a time they were the hottest line in hockey. It's a solid name that we'll have in the C tier. The New York Rangers Gola Game Line. Jean Bertel, Raj Gilbert, and Vic Hatfield. Really such a cool nickname. Nothing says your dominance like you're going to score a goal every single game. GAG Line is legendary and on the Mount Rushmore of line names, and it will take its rightful spot in the iconic tier. The St. Louis Blues, Hall & Oates, Brett Hull, and Adam Oates. Fortunately, Hall & Oates were one of the most popular rock bands of the 1980s. The nickname just fell into place, and it already had a great ring to it. I'll slot it in the D tier since we really are just reading their names, but it's a fun nickname nonetheless. Tampa Bay Lightning, the Triplets. Tyler Johnson, Nikita Kucherov, and Andre Palat. They sort of have that perfect mix of speed and skill, said head coach John Cooper. And it's weird because they all seem to be on the same wavelength. It's like they're triplets. It seems those three guys are almost thinking for each other, and it's pretty sweet to watch. It seems like a simple idea, but it's very catchy, and to my knowledge, this is the first and only time a trio has been given that name. It also works with their young ages at the time, and as a bonus, I love nicknames you don't have to say line to know who you're talking about. Everyone in the NHL knew the Triplets. Great name, nicely done, Coach Cooper. The Chicago Blackhawks $1 Million Line. Bobby Hull, Bill Hay, and Murray Balfour. While I bet this trio wishes they were making $1 million per season, the nickname came from, at the time, their relatively high salaries and importance to the team. The nickname ironically foreshadowed Bobby Hull's departure to the WHA, where he will receive a signing bonus for $1 million. We'll slot them in the B tier. And speaking of that landmark signing, the Winnipeg Jets Hot Line. Bobby Hull, Ulf Nilsson, and Anders Hedberg. This list is only NHL lines, but we'll sneak in a WHA one out of respect to the Golden Jet. They are pretty revolutionary in terms of playing style, as I'm sure I'll do a deep dive on here someday. But for the name, it's not bad, and as an added bonus, Bobby can slot right next to Adam Oates and his son, Brett Hull. The New Jersey Devils Crash Line. Mike Peluso, Randy McKay, and Bobby Holik. You gotta love when a line's name tells you exactly what you need to know about the trio. Nothing quite describes or embodies 1990s Eastern Conference hockey quite like the Crash Line. They got national recognition in the Devils' 1995 Stanley Cup win and deserve an upper-tier position. They just didn't last long enough as a combo to have the iconic slot. The Toronto Maple Leafs Kid Line. Charlie Conacher, Harvey Jackson, Joe Primo. A popular moniker for a trio of young players who find chemistry together. I believe this is the oldest combo on the list, skating in the 1930s. I'll assume they were also the first to get it. It's a pretty obvious nickname to give a line even nearly 100 years ago, so we'll slot them next to the Hot Line. Next up, we have our first entry from the San Jose Sharks. Obviously, with such an awesome symbol of strength and an apex predator of the sea, we should get a pretty sweet line name. Burger Line. That's right. The Burger Line. Patrick Marleau, Joe Thornton, and Danny Heatley.
Joe Thornton. I've had a little contest going on today on the Sharks website on the broadcaster blog, coming up with a name for the Sharks top line, Marleau, Heatley, and Thornton. Some of the suggestions today, and you can check it out on the broadcaster blog, sjsharks.com. Team Canada line, we've heard that before. That's, I don't know, a little presumptuous.
Yes.
The Great White Line, as in Great White Shark.
Oh, I like it.
That's not bad. Here's a very popular one. You tell me if you like this one. The Burger Line.
Burger Line?
Yeah.
What? Burger Line?
A heated jumbo patty.
I do like that one. That's clever.
That might be the winner. I haven't come up with a prize yet, but
heated jumbo patty.
Whatever wins, we'll come up with something. But chime in as well. You can find out how to express your view or give us your thoughts on a good line. There's some that are way out there.
Given by the San Jose faithful, I personally would have went with the shark theme, maybe the CSA line, Canadian Shark Attack, considering the line played for Team Canada as well. To be honest, I had a hard time ranking this one. It's an ultra creative play on the names, but I'm not sure it was well known outside of San Jose. Detroit Red Wings, Two Kids and the Old Goat, Boyd Devereaux, Brett Hull, and Pavel Datsyuk, and later, Henrik Zetterberg. Brett Hull has one of the best personalities in hockey history, and the walking quote machine landed a beauty when describing his line on the cup-winning Red Wings as two kids and an old goat. The name stuck, and it was even enhanced production-wise when Henrik Zetterberg replaced Devereaux and created a high-scoring combo. The line name is tremendous and has everything you could want, and is just below iconic status. The New York Rangers Czech Line. Peter Nedved, Jan Hlavich, and Radek Dvorak. Pretty obvious nickname here. Fun trio for the Rangers during some lean years. Also cool considering Czech Line could mean checking line, which is a very common hockey term for a defensive trio, which unfortunately these guys were far from. Had they been a shutdown line, I think the nickname shoots up the rankings. Otherwise, it's a pretty obvious name for the Czech Republic countrymen. The Vegas Golden Knights Misfits Line. Jonathan Marchessault, William Karlsson, and Riley Smith. A great line name to describe how each, and really all of the Golden Knights in their inaugural season, being discarded by other franchises. Really a breath of fresh air with the lack of line names the last few years. They also stayed together for a long time, which is a rarity. I debated putting them in the A tier. The only thing that really held me back is the entire team overall kind of had that moniker as well, but a great nickname, and I wouldn't argue with anyone who wanted to slot them in the A tier. The Toronto Maple Leafs Hound Line, Gary Leeman, Russ Courtnall, and Wendell Clark. A fan-favorite 1980s Maple Leafs line that gave the franchise a jolt of youthful energy in some lean years. Some believe the nickname is for their high-tempo forechecking style, but really, all three play midget hockey for the Notre Dame Hounds in Wilcox, Saskatchewan, so a no-brainer for a name. Fun combo that will slot in the D tier. Detroit Red Wings, the Russian Five. Sergei Fedorov, Igor Larionov, Slava Kozlov, Slava Fetisov, and Vladimir Konstantinov. Now this one I have an unfortunate bone to pick with. A few years back on my Instagram account, I did a March Madness bracket for the greatest line nicknames of all time. It was very fun and I had my followers vote on the winners. Not to brag, but Wayne Gretzky is one of those followers. But I really debated having the Russian Five on it. For one, it was a 5-man unit, not a line. Secondly, is it really that creative? Their cultural impact on the game aside, it's 5 guys who are Russian. But against my better judgment and fear of backlash and death threats, I put them on, and wouldn't you know it, they won the friggin' tournament. Again, it's not about their greatness, but just the name alone, I'm gonna have to slide them to the bottom with the Czech Line. Justice will be had, and vengeance will be mine. Comment below on what could have been a more creative name for this legendary unit. Sorry things got a little dark there. Let's lighten it up with the Pittsburgh Penguins option line. Mark Recchi, Kevin Stevens, and John Cullen. Helping carry the early 1990s Penguins offense while Mario Lemieux recovered, the high-scoring trio earned the nickname the Option Line, as they were all in the option year of their contracts. It's a very neat idea for a name, although I'm not sure how many outside of Pittsburgh knew it. Also, the line didn't last too long once poor Cullen was shipped out for Ron Francis. The Vancouver Canucks Lotto Line, Brock Besser, Elias Pettersson, and JT Miller. Americans probably have no idea why they even got that nickname, but one of Canada's national lottery games is the Lotto 649. So with Besser at 6, Pettersson at 40, and Miller at 9, the Lotto Line was born. Although knowing what we know now, it should have been called the We Want to Kill Each Other combo. Creative play on their numbers, however, slots them with the Deuces Wild. Keeping it in Vancouver, we have the Sedin twins with Jason King, the Mattress Line. Because you have 2 twins and a king, of course. Ultra creative name, even if it is a little silly. Sedins would obviously have greater success with Anson Carter and Alex Burrows, but this nickname was their best. I'm going to lump the next 3 together, since I'm unsure if they should even be on the list. The Bruins Nitro Line, the Montreal Canadiens Dynasty Line, and the Flying Frenchman. I really like these names, but my only issue is I don't know how accurate they are. While they are known as these names now, I'm not 100% sure they were referred to them while they were playing. For the Nitro Line, it seems they were referred to as the Espo Line. And as for Jacques Lemaire, Steve Shutt, and Guy Lafleur, I'm not sure they even had a consistent nickname while they played. I believe as history has looked back on the 1970s Habs dynasty, they were given that moniker later. As far as the Flying Frenchman of the 1917-18 season, again, I just don't know if the entire team was named that or just that trio, or if that trio represented the original members of the franchise and they weren't necessarily a line combo. With that said, they are good nicknames and historically important, so we'll include them but ding them a little bit. The Philadelphia Flyers Crazy Eights, Brett Fedek, Eric Lindros, and Mark Recchi. Eric Lindros made his NHL debut on a productive line with a cool nickname, with each player's number having an 8 in it. A nice warm-up for the Big E, who has another great line name coming up. Similar to the other lines on the list with the numbers theme, including the Deuces Wild line, I'll keep it consistent on the C tier. The Buffalo Sabres French Connection Line, René Robert, Gilbert Perreault, and Rick Martin. A historically great line with an amazing line name to go along with it. Really, they are line combo royalty, with all 3 being French-Canadian, and piggybacking off the Academy Award-winning film released in 1971, it's just a great combination of pop culture and hockey. Of course, it's iconic. The New York Rangers Mafia Line, Don Maloney, Don Murdoch, and Phil Esposito. The line's nickname comes from Esposito being referred to as the Godfather, with Maloney and Murdoch being his Dons. Very fun line name that carried even more significance in the late 1970s than it would today, as the real-life Mafia reigned supreme in New York City. The line was also an integral part of the Rangers' surprise run to the 1979 Stanley Cup Finals, helping boost its notoriety nationally. We're going to leave the gun, take the cannoli, and slide the Mafia line to the B tier. San Jose Sharks Hound Line, Sergei Makarov, Igor Larionov, and Johan Garpenlov. This 1990s Sharks trio name is pretty self-explanatory once you learn it consists of famed Russian superstars Sergei Makarov and Igor Larionov, but magically a Swede fit to complete the OV3 and Johan Garpenlov. In fact, I'll give them some bonus points for not trying to replicate the famous KLM Soviet line by going GLM. Next up, we have two legendary line combinations for the Chicago Blackhawks, the Scooter and Pony line. First, the Scooter line of Stan Mikita, Ken Warham, and Doug Moens. They were a dominant trio that skated together from 1964 to 1969 and received their nickname from Sports Illustrated writer Bill Ray for their exceptional speed and agility. It's an all-time great combo. I guess the name just hasn't aged well for me, although it does make sense since scooters had a surge in usage and popularity in the 1960s. And then the Pony line of brothers Doug and Max Bentley with Bill Mosienko. One of the best lines of the 1940s, and they were all under 5'10". Like the Scooter line, I get it and it makes sense. It just doesn't do it for me. I'll give them a slight bump considering I really can't appreciate the nicknames for their time. LA Kings, That 70s line. Tyler Toffoli, Tanner Pearson, and Jeff Carter. A lot like Hall & Oates, this line had the good fortune of having popular culture to pull from, but with a little more creativity behind it, benefiting from the popular sitcom That 70s Show, to match all their numbers being in the 70s to create an awesome line name. They also had the good fortune of making a deep playoff run and gaining national exposure, helping the LA Kings win the Stanley Cup. We'll disco slide them to the A tier. The Montreal Canadiens Punch Line. Maurice Richard, Elmer Locke, and Toe Blake. A legendary line combo, the Punch Line received their name for their offensive impact and dominance against the NHL. I was pretty torn about where to put the trio. They are absolutely iconic, but is this name really iconic? I decided to slot them just below, but I definitely went back and forth on it. I guess age may have been their enemy in this case, considering they skated in the early 1940s. I'd be curious how many hockey fans today, if I said the Punch Line, could name the players or the era. It was a tough call. Hopefully when the rest of the icons get filled out, it'll be justified. The New Jersey Devils ZZ Pops. Zach Parisi, Travis Zajac, and Jamie Langenbrunner. A play on the popular band ZZ Tops. Take the Z from Zach and another from Zajac to get your ZZ. And Pops for older linemate Jamie Langenbrunner, who was considered the old man of the line at the age of 31. Very creative and fun name that apparently the players came up with themselves, or at least the young Zach and Zajac did. The Boston Bruins Bonanza Line. Adam Oates centering Joey Juneau and Dmitry Kvartanov. Clever name from a Western TV show in the 1960s called Bonanza, featuring Adam and Little Joe. It's a very productive line that helped fill in for the injured Cam Neely, and it's a great name. Only thing holding it back is not many people know the reference. Chicago Blackhawks Party Line. Steve Larmer, Al Secord, and Dennis Savard. Pretty much summed up in the name, when this trio was on the ice, it was a high-scoring party. That's pretty much it. If anyone else can comment below on how they got their name, and if I'm missing some deeper meaning or reasoning behind it, I could see ranking it higher, but that's all I've ever really found out on its origins. The Philadelphia Flyers Redemption Line. Billy Lano, Scott Hartnell, and Danny Briere. This line earned their nickname by redeeming themselves in the 2010 playoffs, helping the Flyers get to the Stanley Cup Finals. I like the name, being able to include each player's backstories of struggling and coming together when it counted the most. It just didn't last long enough, with Billy Lano running a bank account in Buffalo off of this unit's great production. The Boston Bruins Kraut Line. Woody Dumart, Bill Schmidt, and Bobby Bauer. One of, if not the most famous Boston Bruins line in history. Named the Kraut Line after all three grew up in an area of Ontario that was heavily populated by people of German descent. During World War II, where they all halted their careers to proudly serve, they were renamed the Kitchener Kids thanks to the Germans not being too popular at the time. Next up, we take a train ride to Vancouver, Canada on the West Coast Express with Todd Bertuzzi, Marcus Naslin, and Brendan Morrison. Really, it's a wonderful line name connecting the city's rail service to the line's amazing high-scoring production. One of the more popular lines, and for this exercise line nicknames, of the last 30 years. Pittsburgh Penguins Century Line, Lau McDonald, Sil Apps, and Gene Fronovost. High-scoring Penguins first line of the 1970s received a nickname after combining for 107 goals in the 1973-74 season. Thank goodness, as they got a huge name upgrade over the dreaded initials name, the Map Line. Fun fact, they almost achieved the same feat the previous year, falling just short with 98 goals. I like the name, although as you can see from the card, it had a few variations. E=MC² Line, Matt Martin, Casey Cizikas, Cal Clutterbuck. Later named the Identity Line by head coach Barry Trotz, which is pretty good, but I prefer E=MC², which was given by former Islander great and current announcer Butch Goring. We are walking the line here on the initials rule on this one, but I think it should get on the list. We'll slot them in the C tier as a few deep playoff runs really helped get the line national attention as both the Identity Line and the E=MC² Line. The New York Rangers Bread Line, Hall of Famers Bill Cook, Bun Cook, and Frank Boucher. A dominant late 1920s, early 30s top line for the New York Rangers. We were the Rangers' bread and butter, explained Boucher. So it was natural for us to be dubbed the Bread Line. It's a cool name. A little unclear if they were called this at the time or after the fact, but we'll slot it in the C tier since at least I have some quotes from the players themselves. Hartford Whalers Stash, Dash, and Bash Line. Blaine Stoughton, Mike Rogers, and Pat Boutette. The best line name you've never heard of, featuring Blaine Stoughton supplying the mustache, Pat Boutette bringing in the physicality and bash, and Mike Rogers with the unreal offensive dash. I've seen the order of the Stash, Bash, and Dash listed differently, but they were an awesome trio regardless of the order, with an awesome line name to boot. Next up, we have one of the greatest lines of all time with a great name to match. Charlie Simmer, Marcel Dion, and Dave Taylor, the LA Kings Triple Crown Line. What can you say? It's a perfect nickname for a dominant Kings line. Fun fact, in the 1979-80 season, Marcel Dion was a few goals and 1 assist short of winning the Triple Crown on his own, a simple name that became iconic with their success. The Detroit Red Wings Grind Line, Darren McCarty, Chris Draper, Kirk Maltby, and Joey Kocur. Arguably the most famous checking unit of all time, the Grind Line is perfectly named for their role against the opposition. A line combo that had both the success and longevity to enhance their popularity and notoriety throughout the league. It's hard to even see an effective playoff checking line and not think of them. Grind Line belongs with the very best in the iconic tier. The New York Islanders Trio Grande, Clark Gillies, Brian Trottier, and Mike Bossy. A lot like Brett Hull giving his trio the Two Kids and Old Goat moniker, Clark Gillies did the same for the Trio Grande. Brian Trottier, in an interview with CBC Radio, explained how the media was discussing possible names for the hottest line in hockey, and Gillies told them that he had it. They would be called the Trio Grande. Simple enough of a name using the Rio Grande for trio, but to be honest, the line's greatness really enhanced the name because it really doesn't have anything to do with the players, or the team, or the area. So while the line is iconic, and I can make an argument it's the greatest line of all time, I don't know about the nickname. Unless one of them is Mexican, of course, then I'll apologize, but I think it falls just short of iconic. From the Philadelphia Flyers, Michael Renberg, John LeClaire, and Eric Lindros, the Legion of Doom. I'd say LOD is the best line name in hockey in the last 40 years. Nicknamed after wrestling tag team the Legion of Doom by teammate and current NHL coach Jim Montgomery, LOD personified Flyers' toughness, and the trio became a cultural phenomenon in the sport. You really couldn't mention any player on the line or 1990s Flyers hockey and not think of the Legion of Doom. Even to this day, it's truly an iconic line name. Ottawa Senators Pizza Line, Daniel Alfredson, Danny Heatley, and Jason Spezza. An explosive post-lockout line, the high-scoring trio's production helped earn them their name, as the Senators' promotion saw fans receive a free slice of pizza if the team scored 5 or more goals in the game. A very cool and organic name that their goal-scoring brilliance helped popularize. We'll slot the Pizza Line in the A tier. The Detroit Red Wings Production Line, Gordie Howe, Sid Abel, and Ted Lindsay. Man, talk about just a spot-on line name, connecting the trio's unreal scoring production with Ford Motors revolutionizing automobile manufacturing with production lines in Detroit, Michigan. To get its historical significance, you have to understand what automobile manufacturing meant to Detroit. In the 1950s, Ford Motor Company played a crucial role in Detroit's economic prosperity. As one of the big three automakers, Ford's massive manufacturing operations provided tens of thousands of well-paying jobs to the city's residents. Ford's continued refinement of the assembly line during this era helped revolutionize manufacturing by increasing efficiency, reducing costs, and setting new standards for mass production. To incorporate that real-life local significance with the dominance on the ice of the Red Wings' first line, again, it's just perfect, and of course more than deserving of ending our list in the iconic tier. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe.